I'm a real wild one, wild one, wild one, wild one, wild one.
Okay, thank you very much to all our watchers. Welcome to our review of round 14 and our preview of round 15. On my right, Naomi Williams representing netball. On my left, Keith Anderson, Warragul Druin Gazette and an avid watcher of Gippsland League footy. Keith, big weekend we had last week. You were down at the Wonthaggi Druin game. You saw your beloved Hawks get up and win.
Yeah, it was actually a really good game. That was competitive, despite the fact Druin got away to nearly a 6-goal lead. That was probably a little bit more than Wonthaggi deserved to be behind. And then they came back terrific. So it was a great game, but I think you come away and everybody came away from Wonthaggi just so impressed with their ground. Absolutely fantastic service.
Oh, it's a great service. Credit to the council, Wonthaggi, the whole lot.
But a great game and a really difficult loss for Wonthaggi. That was one that they'd have probably been counting on. Would have put them equal on points with Traralgon. Now makes their task much harder to get in the finals. Perhaps just rekindles a little bit of hope for Druin, but I think it's still pretty forlorn prospect of them getting into the finals.
And I thought the main show of the day actually was the reserves goal umpire. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah. He was great, and somebody ought to do a video on him and send it into Footy Legends or something, or you can throw that Acker piece off your website and put up something different. But no, he was great, and obviously a very enthusiastic umpire and takes it seriously. And
he was even doing the role of the boundary umpire a couple of times when he raced over. But poor old Blummy from Druin, being the opposition goal umpire, came off and he just looked so second-rate, didn't he? Poor old Blummy. How did the netball go?
We had some interesting wins this week and a big change at the top of the ladder. So Sale, who'd been second for the whole season, lost on the weekend and have dropped to fourth. There's still plenty of changing that might happen at the top, but I think we've settled on our top 5 teams.
Right, how's your Druin Hawks going, all right?
Yeah, they're in second.
Okay.
The other thing out of last weekend, Sale and Leongatha, I think they showed that they're really going to be a couple of sides to beat for the competition. Sale sort of ran away from Traralgon at the finish, as did Leongatha when they needed to against Warragul.
Yeah, Piercy's Pies and Mel's Maulers, it looks like, at this stage for the grand final. But anyway, as we know, in past history, things can change. Okay, we have round 15 coming up, and it is a split round, and we've only got 3 games this week. So we'll go with the second one, actually, because I'm sick and tired of having Moe first up. Bairnsdale is hosting Warragul, which... that should be actually a pretty interesting game, to be honest.
Well, it should be. It should be a good game. Bairnsdale came back a couple of weeks ago to draw against Maul. Unlucky to lose that. So they had their slump and they're perhaps doing a bit better. They're at home. I think Warragul are really looking forward to this. They're going to make it Warragul are going to make it a good weekend. I think a lot of the players are going up, and no better way to start a good weekend than winning a game of football. I think this is really hard to pick, and perhaps go for Warragul. I think they're big guys if they follow. Bradley, Hughes, and Gray will have a little bit too much for Bairnsdale.
Yeah, Bears don't normally play well at home though. They've had a couple of big scalps, but I think I'm just looking here at the ladder. There's only half a game between them. Warragul's got slightly better percentage. If they happen to win, they'll actually climb up 2 places. But look, Actually, I might agree with you there. We'll go for Warragul. Okay, in the netball, Naomi.
In the netball, well, if Warragul's going to have a chance of winning a match this season, it's going to be this weekend. So far, the best they've managed to do is a draw, so I really hope for Warragul's sake that they can get across the line and get themselves a win. No one likes to go through a whole season without a win. You know, they've got good players, just haven't been able to put it together and be injury-free for a whole week, but, you know, fingers crossed for them.
Okay. Hopefully the Golds will go up there all fired up and then play their footy and netball and then have their weekend away. Okay, the next game is Druin hosting Leongatha, which I think, yeah, that could be interesting, but I would suggest Leongatha's red-hot favourites.
Could be interesting. Druin will have a few outs from their win last week, apart from Anthony Tipungwuti, who will probably be back.
Tipungwuti.
Yeah, who'll most likely be back at Gippsland Power. David Olsen, I think he'd be out as a key part of the defence. A knee injury last week. Leongatha had a fair few outs last week, and top line players like Captain Sandbrook and Gordis and of course Thursfield, who I understand won't play again this year. They won't want to take too many risks there. They're assured of top three. They shouldn't if they've got injury worries at this stage, a month out from the finals. But yeah, they just look a bit too good. They've only had a couple of upsets this year, and they weren't dramatic losses. So I expect them to continue on and finally, you know, put the nail in any chance Druin may have of getting into the fight.
And I think 48 to 36, I reckon they've probably got second spot just about sewn up. When you see the Stewart, I mean, they're 3 games ahead of Mafra, so I would suggest that they're probably assured of top 2.
Yeah,
but mathematically,
number one's the spot.
No worries.
And I don't think they'll knock Sale off.
No, I don't think they can either. But I think Mel's Maulers will be too good for Druin. The netball, obviously that's a pretty vital game for both sides.
Well, it is. It's now 1 and 2 playing off. Druin were the only side to beat Leongatha in the first rounds of matches. Completely different this time, playing outdoors as opposed to indoors at Leongatha. Druin have still got a few injuries, but you know what? My heart's with the Hawks, and I've tipped against them the first time. So yeah, I'm not prepared to do the same this time, and yeah, Hawks win at home.
So really, as we've said before, if it's an advantage over there for them, it's actually going to be a disadvantage playing outdoors.
That's it, especially if it's wet, windy, any of those sorts of conditions, because they don't normally have to play with them.
Every second one.
Yeah.
All right.
The goal shooter for Druin is serving beer up in the pub just up the road tonight, and she's very confident of the win.
Okay, we'll have a talk with her later then, Keith. Okay, the third one is, and of course, that's Moe Mafra, and of course we haven't got A grade. Do you want to say anything about B grade, maybe? Have a think about it while Keith's talking about the footy. Moe and Mafra.
Yeah, I'll tip Mafra to win. I'll tip them to win. They're just a bit too good for Moe. And is it Moe? I'm not thoroughly convinced that Mafra is going to be the major threat to the top 2 this year, but they've rolled along despite a fair few setbacks. They've got wonderful resilience in the club and the ability to bring blokes in from the reserves or the thirds or the fourths, and still put a very good side on the park. They've got plenty of talent there anyway, but I think too good for Moe.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately for Moe's too, they've got a heap of injuries as well. I saw them on Sunday against Morwell, and Jock McFarlane had to fill in because they've been decimated with injury. So yeah, I mean, just on that alone, I would suggest Mafra will win that fairly easily. Yeah, have you come up with anything?
I've come up well. Mafra are sitting in 5th spot by 0.05%. So they're going to need a big win this week against Moe to ensure that they keep that position. There's 3 teams that are all fighting off for that 4th and 5th position, and it will come down to what happens in the next few weeks. So they're going to want a really big win and a good percentage boost because they're quite a way away from Morwell, who's sitting in 4th at this stage.
We'll deal with it next week, Chris, but second week of the split round, the 2 games there are really good ones.
Yeah.
We'll find out how good Morwell are when they front up to Sale, and Traralgon and Wonthaggi could well be playing off the 5th position.
Yes.
Could be decided.
Probably one thing I just want to... we've got a couple of things just to throw in. Centralised finals. The board of the Gippsland League has met and decided that in 2012-13 there'll be centralised finals. By that what we mean is that each the Moe, Morwell, Traralgon grounds will host 2 finals each out of the 6. The theory behind that, of course, is that by centralising the venues, we're hoping that we can attract more people to the games and lessen the travel, because on a given final we have obviously 10 grades, which is 20 teams, and overall hopefully it can lessen the travel by being in the centre instead of peripheral regions. On top of that, if we do increase the crowds, we obviously get more money for the clubs as a combined entity. So yeah, the board's made that decision. All the paperwork will be sent out to all the clubs later this week. There is a final subcommittee to tidy up some other areas tomorrow night, but that was announced to the clubs last week, and I see that from my interview with you over the weekend, Keith, that it's in the Worrell Gazette, and we're just hoping, as 10 clubs, we're hoping that we can just get a bit extra through the gate for them.
Yeah, as long as your equalisation or distribution works as you're hoping, it's something I support. I think it's certainly there. Like if you happen to be dead stiff and be playing netball for Bairnsdale under 13s, and you're drawn to play at Wonthaggi on
it's a long trip.
Sunday.
So we'll wait and see. We're going to have a roster system for all the clubs, and hopefully each year, by their involvement, that they can get each club can get a bit, instead of where in the past some clubs have gotten some money by hosting and others haven't even had a bite of the cherry. Just finishing, we had our first day of youth girls on Sunday at Traralgon. We had in the region of 71 registrations. 30 girls turned up, did a clinic, they actually played a game. I was quite impressed with the talent out there. Sporting talent, to Keith, before you make any rash statements of me.
You didn't tell me that some of them put lipstick and makeup on.
Oh, I couldn't believe it. They were all given a small a small ball, football, when they were registering, and then they came over. I was the lucky one, had the electric pump instead of the old-fashioned way. And I couldn't get over the makeup on them. I said to them, "You're going to have a game of footy." Yeah. I said, "Well, what's the makeup?" But apparently that's what happens even in netball. Is that correct?
Yeah, but Chris, you see this guys putting gel in their hair before they run onto the ground and all that.
I'll start to worry.
It's getting a bit.
I'll start to worry when we have footballers putting on makeup, mate. But look, the first half was, good, easy. And then, lo and behold, the second half, the competitive spirit came out. The tackling was ferocious by a couple. Good old-fashioned hip and shoulder, because the game was a little bit slower. There was some really good hip and shoulders, and I was quite surprised how hard the girls go in. So we've gone from netball being a semi-contact sport to actually seeing females have a full-blooded go at each other. So we're on next week at Traralgon, 9:30, get there for all the girls. They were asked to bring friends. We've got umpires, we've got parents that are going to be goal umpires, all that. So if you're interested in youth girls, Traralgon, main football ground this Sunday, get that straight, this Sunday, 9:30, be there, and at 10 o'clock there'll be a game on. So thank you very much. Anything else you want to say, Peter?
Yeah, well, you'll totally lose me if you want to start a bloke's bloody netball competition next year.
Wow.
So, okay, but the other thing on a real football matter, the National Country Championships played in Wagga Wagga finished at the weekend,
Yeah.
and Big Country won, defeated Big Country 2, and I think a guy that a lot of people around the region know, Matt Dyer from Ballara, won the medal as the best player for the championship, and was
Good
also
effort.
selected, great effort, selected as first rover for the All-Australian side. So that's a great effort.
That is a great effort. We got anything that's happening in netball? Quick, throw something.
What
in.
happened in netball? Oh, nothing regionally, but the grand final of the ANZ State Cup or ANZ Championship Trans-Tasman Rival was held on the weekend. Unfortunately, for the first time ever, it went to a New Zealand team, but it was still a great match of netball to watch.
The other big news, I mentioned
more
the
big
goal,
news.
netball, the goal scorer for Drew and pouring a couple of beers up at the hotel. She's actually pouring a beer for Liz Ellis's uncle. So
Oh, fair
it's
enough.
all very good. So
gee,
conversation turned to netball.
That's very important. So the Vixens let us down.
They did.
Oh my
See,
God.
they're the comeback queens. They didn't know what to do when they were in front.
Okay, that's it. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much and keep watching.